Good morning, everyone. So it's my pleasure this morning to introduce Venerable Phuoc Tan from the Minh Temple in Braybrook. So some of you will have heard him speak before, some of you he'd be new. So just a little bit of background about the Venerable. Venerable Phuoc Tan arrived in Australia as a refugee in 1981, and he had an aspiration to be a monastic in Vietnam, but it was not possible at that time. But he actually was introduced to his master in Australia, Venerable Thich Quang. So in 1981 he became sort of a novice. He had an interesting sort of, we have some connections going back, slight connections in a way. As a young man, Venerable Phuoc Tan was telling me that he used to catch the train and then walk quite a distance to the university in Sydney, to the University Buddhist Society, and he met a range of Sangha there. One of the Sangha he met there was Phra Kantapalo, who was a frequent visitor to Buddhist Society through the 1980s. And as a young man, he went backwards and forwards to Wat Buddha Dhamma, which is north of Sydney, for those people who know. But Quang Temple, so he came to Melbourne. Actually, this bit I didn't know. Someone wrote it for me, which is nice. Took his final ordination in France in 1981. And we were discussing this morning about the fact that most young Vietnamese monastics still need to go overseas to get formal training. So one of Venerable Phuoc Tan's aspirations is to to establish the training lineage in Australia for his particular tradition, which is in Vietnamese Pure Land. And the Tendai tradition, I believe, if I'm correct. Yeah. But Quang Minh, of course, is a remarkable place. It's a very large monastery. It has a very large number of people who go there at different times, but it's enormously connected to the local community as well. They have a community kitchen, they have community markets. During the COVID time, they did a lot of work providing food and additional support for people. There's a really large youth group and several youth groups, and it's enormously connected to the Vietnamese community. And it's fair to say that he was absolutely reasonably honoured and received an Order of Australia medal because of all of the work that he's done. And I'll also say that on 2 occasions, Quang Minh Temple has played host to His Holiness the Dalai Lama in 1996, and then I can't remember the date of the other one, but in the 2000s, I think. So very look, I'm personally very pleased, and it's very nice to have Venerable Phuoc Tan here, and he will talk a little bit about, I believe his title of his talk will be on harmony, but we're going to run through in the first sequence just our normal Sunday morning rather, sort of the refuges and the precepts as we'd normally do. So we'll play a tape for that, and then we'll start the talk. So Venerable Phuoc Tan, thank you very much for coming, and it's my pleasure, as I said, to have you here. It's really nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Astri, would you like to request the precepts, please?
Mayam Bante, Tisarnena Saha Pancha Silani Yachama, Dutiyampi Mayam Bante, Tisarnena Saha Pancha Silani Yachama, Tatiyampi Mayam Bante, Tisarnena Saha Pancha Silani Yachama.
So now I will chant the homage 3 times, and then after that, if you'd like to chant it 3 times, and then we can go line by line. Homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the rightly awakened One. Homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Rightly Awakened One. Homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Rightly Awakened One.
Homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Rightly Awakened One. Homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Rightly Awakened One. Homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Rightly Awakened One.
I go to the Buddha for refuge. I go to the teachings for refuge. I go to the noble monastics for refuge. For the second time I go to the fully awakened one for refuge. For the second time I go to the teachings for refuge. For the second time I go to the noble monastics for refuge. For the third time I go to the fully awakened one for refuge. For the third time I go to the teachings for refuge. For the third time I go to the noble monastics for refuge. This completes the going for refuge. So now for the 5 precepts. I undertake the training rule to refrain from taking life. I undertake the training rule to refrain from stealing. I undertake the training rule to refrain from sexual misconduct. I undertake the training rule to refrain from false speech. I undertake the training rule to refrain from intoxicating drinks and substances that reduce clarity of mind. So now we can do the recollection of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha in English. Such indeed is he, the Blessed One, is a worthy one, fully awakened by himself, consummate in knowledge and conduct, the Sublime One, knower of the worlds, incomparable master of those to be tamed, teacher of devas and humans, awakened and blessed. Well expounded is the Dhamma by the Blessed One, to be seen here and now, timeless, inviting one to come and see, leading inwards, to be understood individually by the wise. Well practiced is the Blessed One's community of noble disciples. Directly practiced is the Blessed One's community of noble disciples. Methodically practiced is the Blessed One's community of noble disciples. Properly practiced is the Blessed One's community of noble disciples. That is to say, the 4 pairs of humans, the 8 types of persons. This is the Blessed One's community of disciples, worthy of offerings, worthy of hospitality, worthy of a teacher's gift, worthy of reverential salutation, the unsurpassed field of merit for the world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And now the Buddha's words on loving kindness in English. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm, and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to wrong views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Very nice.
Good morning, everyone. Today, it's my pleasure to be here and share with you some of my understanding about Buddhism and some of the things I enjoy most about Buddhism as well. It's good to share that. In the Dhamma of the Sixth Harmony, we ought to share what we know and what we enjoy, so other people can also in the same path. As a Buddhist, even those a monk as well, that we take the refuge in the Triple Gem, and one of them is the Sangha. Now, just speaking to Michael this morning, I think in the world, even in the Buddhist world, we still struggle to define the word Sangha. In different Buddhist community, the word Sangha can mean different things. But one thing in common is the harmony content of the organization or the group of people. In traditional context, Sangha is the harmonious community of the ordained monks or nuns. They come together, observe the same precepts. So, and then they reverence the Buddha altogether, make them easy to harmonize together. One of the analogy in the text when illustrate about this, it's talking about how easy milk and water can mix together. When they say it's a community that if you observe the same precepts and you also reverence the same teachers, that they can come along and harmonize easily. Sometimes we think harmony is just a luxury in life, but from our understanding, is the foundation of life. We need that harmony to stay alive, actually. It's not just a luxury, but it's a foundation of everything. So it's the important virtues that one needs to cultivate and understand well about this characteristic of life. Just reflect on your very body. It's made up of different elements, water, fire, solid matters, and heat. Right? The ancient Greek, the 4 elements make up life, make up this very body. Now let us single out 2 very contradictory natures. That's the water, have a cooling nature, and the heat. These 2 elements, they cannot exist together. If it's too much heat, then the water vaporizes. If it's too cool or too much water, then the fire will be put out. So if in nature, if they come together, one will survive and one have to disappear. But in our very body, these elements, they stay together and they have to exist together. What happens to us when we're too cold? What do? You put on more warm clothes. You turn on the heater, or you exercise, whatever, to make your body warm. What happens when the weather is too warm? What do? Well, we turn on the fan or turn on the air conditioning to cool down the space, or we take a cold drink and so forth to cool down the body. So constantly we harmonize these 2 natures between hot and cold. We harmonize constantly. And how quickly do we balance this? How quickly? Well, if you put your hand or accidentally touch the hot stove, what will you do? You pull them right out. Yeah, because if you don't, then it's you will get burned badly and very severely. So our body is very, very good. it's respond very quickly, try to balance these things out, just between these two elements, hot and cold. And these two opposing force and nature, they exist quite peacefully within our body. So who do the balancing here? Who do the balancing acts here? Well, it's us who do that. And the body also, in some way, they automatically learn how to balance between hot and cold by itself, in some way. Right? But most of the time, we have to do that ourselves. In the winter, we know how to survive, yeah, with a lot of warm clothes and heater and so forth. There was a kind of neuro disease or leprosy. When the skin slowly lost its sense, they cannot feel the pain anymore. They cannot feel the hot and cold anymore. What happened? Then even when the body gets damaged and they don't feel it, so the body ruining slowly and slowly. Well, I think it's a very terrible disease for the leprosy, that they lose that some sensitivity. Well, in some way, I think sometimes if we're not careful, our mind also lose that sensitivity. When people in touch with the cruelty, and they just ignore it, be careful. That also in some way damaging our spiritual quality a lot. We need to act compassionate right away. We need to balance that right away. So our body are very smart, and in normal functioning, it's harmonized very well. It's the foundation of life. Without this, how long can we survive? I just mentioned about the leprosy disease. Right? The body decay very quickly and ruin. Sometimes they finger or sometimes people test on their skin. There's certain spot they can no longer get any feeling. Right? So feeling pain is not bad, yeah. At least it's telling you that something you need to adjust very quickly. And that also important part of harmonizing ourselves. So in the society, there are a lot of these, and it's the foundation of our society. We live in harmony with each other. I think this country taught us a lot about this harmony thing. We come from different cultures, we speak different language, and we're coming, and one thing for sure, we're observing the same law, same rules. Right? So every country, every collection of human, there is some sort of written or unwritten law or rules that we need to keep. Every country, or even club, society, or school, or even you walk into a supermarket, I'm sure they have some sort of rules that you need to observe in order for you to have the freedom to be in that space. When we go to different country, they different law, different rules. Even go to some of the club, sporting club or whatever club, they have their own rule as well. So human interactions keep in harmony because they have some sort of common agreement that certain things can be done and certain things cannot be done in that space. So in Buddhism, the law or the Vinaya or the precept is the basics of the freedom, not restriction. There are quite a number of Buddhists, I think they don't learn Buddhism correctly. They say, if I take refuge and if I observe the precept, I lose my freedom. I lose my freedom. If I don't make a vow to observe the precept, then I have more freedom. This is quite opposite with what Buddhism understanding. Well, in order to have the freedom to move in that space, you need to observe the rule. You need to keep the law. So in Australia, I think it's quite obvious that the government asks everyone who comes here need to keep the law, observe the law. Then you have freedom to be in this country. Other countries work the same. So precept in Buddhism is sometimes called the individual freedom. So we keep the 5 precepts here is to have the freedom to live in the human rooms. And sometimes we sit down just for the sake of debating. We say, which of these 5 precepts that we can take it out to have a peaceful life and harmonious life amongst all the human beings, all right? Just for the sake of debating. Right? I say, well, the Buddha have very well thought about how to maintain the society harmony. It's so important that the 5 precepts is keeping the harmony, and it's the basics of life. As I say, harmony should not view as a luxury adding to life, but it's the foundation of life. Life depends on it. Right? So the human realms needs a lot of these in order to function properly. In order for every individual to live a peaceful life, in order to progress, either economically or spiritually or physically, whatever. You do need this harmony. So then the Buddhists should look at precept as freedom. If you want freedom, you keep this precept. Then you have the right to be in that collection of human beings. Yeah. So if you want to ascending to a higher level, then you keep the different set of precepts. In our teaching, we often say, if you want to go to heaven, then observe the 10 precepts. Right? So that it becomes almost like a visa. It's a kind of visa that gives you the right to remain in that society or in that collection of people. So Vinaya or precept should be looked in this way. It's quite important to maintain the harmony. So again, the analogies of water mixed with milk, right? It's mixed very well. Okay, so if people keep the same rules, keep the same Vinaya, they can be together harmoniously. So I encourage those who want to progress in the spiritual path should think hard about this and treasure your precept that you have made the vow to observe them, because that is your visa to able to stay harmonious and peacefully in the human realms. I say, is there a visa to go to hell or to the Buddha land? There may be some other rules that we need to keep, extra rules we need to keep. If those who work in the high security area, I'm sure that those in the area of chaplaincy work, or you provide service there's a rule you need to keep. And you have the right to go in there to do some work and come out if you observe a certain rule and regulation that govern the safety and the harmony in that space. The same to any other land. Okay, so harmony is the foundation of life, is the foundation of our existence, even come down to the individual's body, or come down to our mere physical existence, also relies a lot in harmony. Buddha, he chose to come to earth to finish his practice. They said that before our Buddha, Sakyamuni Buddha, previous life he was in the heaven as a bodhisattva. That's how my tradition said about Buddha previous life. I wonder why he don't stay in heaven to finish his practice. They're a lot more supportive there. Everything is so nice, yeah. In the heaven, why come down to earth? Because in his final practice, he had to struggle in some way to overcome yeah. I'm sorry. Yes, so why did our Lord Buddha decided to come to the human realms to complete his practice, and all the human realms set up the good condition for the Buddha to enlighten? Often we say, if I have a trouble-free life, like in heaven, then I will progress better than come in, than our life here on earth. In some way, it might be true, because when we have a lot of right support, or we have abundant supply of certain material, we can build something. So often we use that as the way to apply to every situation. But I think in a spiritual practice, I think we better rethink that a little bit. Well, they say in heaven everything is abundantly available. I've been to some of the party or ceremony where I think there's a lot of food. People no need to fight for the food because it's so abundantly available. It's average like 10 cake for everyone. And at the end of the party or the meal, there's a lot of leftover. I'm sure that you've been to some of them, yeah? But I have been to some of the places where people have to work hard to share the portion in order to make sure that everyone have enough. That situation still exists. And I think that's very beautiful too. So I say, in the heaven, one person have 10 cake, but the human realms, 10 people have one cake. And they have to sit down and decide how much each should have. And cut the cake down, in a good shape and a good portion so people have enough. Now, if you watch some of the animal realms and how do they share their meal, whoever strongest get the rest. Yeah, you see the lion. When they come, the most powerful have the privilege to consume. Sometimes the lion should eat it all. So in the animal realms, the strongest get the rest, get the whole cake, right? In the animal realms. And the Hungry Ghost realms, I read called the Hungry Ghost Sutra. It said that in the Hungry Ghost realms, there is also cake available, but the Hungry Ghost beings, when they see the cake, they fight for it. And the worst thing is that they forget about the cake after all. After they fight, they forget about the cake. Because the fighting is so severe that they injured or they hurt or so painful, they crying and yelling and forget about the cake. That is how they enjoy the cake. They have the cake, but at the end they forget about the cake. And hell realms, they too suffer to think about the cake anyway. So, sometimes I see some of the group of people, they come together with a very nice idea, but somehow they come and fight, and forget about that nice idea at the end. They're only suffering of fighting, and they should enjoy their good intention at the beginning, but they keep fighting and forget to enjoy what they set out in the first place. So I think be careful. At that moment we might fall back to the hungry ghost level, not the human. The human is very good in the way that they get together and negotiate and share, and so make sure that everyone can have some share on that cake. Yeah. Okay. So all these taught me a lesson very well. The human realms is good that we have the language. Although there's so many languages, sometimes we have struggling to understand each other in the complicated issue. But I think sometimes we understand, even though we don't speak the same language, we still can use sign language to tell other people certain meanings that we want to express. So the human realms, very good. We have the language. We have that understanding. So I think, wow, let's use that, because not many realms in the universe have the language. So the language become the treasure. Use them well. Whatever you need, sit down, talk, negotiate. Yeah, negotiate. All right? Don't waste it, because it's the best tool for the human to live in harmony. Just talk to each other and talk sincerely and discuss and negotiate and sit down and planting. Yeah, all that, utilize them. Don't waste them. Invest in them in the way that build up the trust. So when you say something, people will appreciate what you're saying. And because human being, we realize our well-being in the language that we use to live harmonious amongst all other members of the family, or in a group of people like this, or in the country at large. So cultivate kindness or loving kindness in the speech, because our very survival depends on it a lot. So don't abuse the language we use, because in the precept number 4, talking about not lying, actually it should be understood wider. It's not just about the telling lie, but that precept also about avoiding use language in the negative way. Like use language to persuade people to do wrong thing, yeah, or use language to cause people fighting, or use language to cause other people suffering, like cursing, that sort of language. So if you learn the precept number 4, you will see that it's have a very wide meaning, not just about telling lie, but not to use language badly, all right, and cause suffering, confusion, or struggle, or persuade someone to do something wrong, right? So the precept number 4 is quite important for our well-being. So the human realms, we rely on the language, so I'm encouraged that we should learn our language again. Not in the way that the meaning of the word, but how to treat them like treasure. Each of the word you say is worth $1 million. Okay, I use the dollar figure to emphasize on the value, on the the treasure of the language that we have. Don't take that for granted. Don't just use them badly. Use them in the way that each of the words you speak out is worth millions of dollars. Right? Okay. Because it's the very, very important tools. Right? So sometimes we use our language in the way that it causes a lot of suffering. It's almost like we use the good tool we have in the negative way, and cause a lot of suffering to ourselves, to other people. That we wasting this best resource that we have. And go back to the idea of harmony again. In this life, or in this world, there's a lot of good things that we've learned, but we need patience to cultivate it. For example, mindfulness is also a very good thing to have, because we can enjoy the cake in the past because we keep remember about it, or we can project our mind and enjoy the cake in the future, because we might go after this talk, buy something, and we start dreaming about the cake now. Sometimes people think these 2 cakes is a lot more value than the cake they are eating. They say, "Oh, I could have a better cake," or "I was eating a very good cake yesterday or the day before," and forget about the cake they're having here, right in front of them. They should enjoy that cake now and enjoy different cake in the future. But people often enjoy the cake in the past, talking about something they enjoy so much. They're eating the cake here, but they keep talking about the cake they enjoyed in the past, and then think, oh, I should buy different cake and enjoy them in the future. They waste the cake right there, that they could enjoy that cake. Okay, so mindfulness is a very, again, it's a good tool. It's a treasure. If you use them properly, it's a treasure in life. It makes you enjoy what you have. And that, again, that also consolidates the knowing enough. Knowing enough, be content, yeah? The word knowing enough, right? So the mindfulness become a good tool for us to enjoy life, actually, to enjoy life. If you look at the drop of the water in the morning, the tip of the branch, you see a little drop of water that form, yeah, and you look closely, you can see it reflect the whole sky. Although it's just so tiny, yeah, it reflects the whole sky. So, although we are very small dust in the universe, but if our mind is peaceful and calm enough, yes, we're able to enjoy a lot. We're able to reflect a lot of things happens around us. And if you're able to do that, then you can maximize the benefit of the thing that's good for you, and you can avoid a lot of bad things that coming on its way. You can avoid it. All right, so mindfulness become a very good tool. And important tools in our life. Just that little water. Next time you see it, be reminded. If it's still, it reflects the whole sky. Yeah, beautiful sky above it. Okay, so when we're mindful, when we really live our present moment, that's what we're capable of. All right, it's not about busy to think about the past or project to the future, and you lost a lot of things in the present moment. So do enjoy that cake right in front of you. Enjoy that. It's able to enjoy that. You enjoy a lot more than just that cake. All right, a lot more than that cake. Okay, so where can we perfect this skill? If it's not where we are living, right here. All right, right here. So therefore, to me, the difficulty we have in this life is become some of the good condition for us to perfect some of the things we learn. We learn a lot, but if we don't encounter some problem, we might not be able to perfect it. Talking about patience, if people don't come to or to make difficulty for you, or the life is not challenging, how can we know we perfect the patient quality in us? And patience is, again, another good tool we should have, because it's able for us to crack and enjoy the most beautiful insight of whatever we learn and we possess. Sometimes we possess a lot of good things, but without this quality, this patience, we cannot crack open some of the beautiful things that stay within it. So harmony, go back to the topic of the harmony. It's the world that is the condition for us to grow. So sometimes talking about Vinaya, we say Vinaya is the important ground, solid ground for us to build the house. Because without the solid ground, the house could tilt like the Pisa tower. Right? So the harmony is like that. It's like Vinaya. It's important ground for us to grow everything. And in order to have this quality of harmony in ourselves, yes, we need Vinaya, we need to be in mindfulness, we need to be patient, we need to be thoughtful, and all these are the good tools for us to cultivate other good. If we're talking about wisdom, if we don't have these tools, how can we sustain the wisdom we cultivate? So, when next time you read or pledge your commitment to the 5 precepts, I'm sure that you should enjoy. Yes, it's the freedom that I have in this world. The 5 precepts, there was one short sutra. It's called The Benefit of the 5 Precepts, where one of the king asked the Buddha, what's the benefit of the 5 precepts? Right? Buddha then, he said, O king, there's a very rich person in town. This rich person have a lot of possession. So one day, he's opened the warehouse or the storeroom, give it out, and he give out a lot, and it take a long time to finish one warehouse, and he opened the second warehouse, started giving, and take a while before that storeroom run out. Then he opened another one and start giving. All right. So a lot of people benefit from that. He said, "O king, is that a good merit, the virtue that this gentleman have made?" King say yes. And Buddha say that, but when you compare to the virtues and the merits of the person keep the 5 precepts, the person who keep 5 precepts had a lot more merit than this rich person. Why? Because the person who keep 5 precepts, wherever he be, everyone around him very peaceful and happy. Imagine you employ someone who keep the 5 precepts, right? Or imagine your neighbor keep the 5 precepts. Imagine people in the family keep the 5 precepts. How happy is your life? Is a lot of your worry based on the people not keeping the 5 precepts? Yeah. All right. So in one of the Mahayana texts say, it's not just the human beings happy about the person who keep the 5 precepts, but the Deva also very happy. And then eventually, and the Buddha also very happy. Because the Buddha give the teachings, and the teaching only come alive when people observing it. Right? Otherwise, it's just the teaching. If no one cultivated, it's just another page in the book. But if someone observe it, it's become a living tools. All right, bring happiness to everyone around. Okay, so the benefit of the 5 precepts is quite important to maintain the harmony, but it's also to build a very good solid ground for us to grow spiritually in any direction. Yeah. So sometimes if we look lightly to the 5 precepts, be careful. It's a foundation, because even Bhikkhu precept also based on these 5 precepts to elaborate further. Right? To elaborate further. So look at the 5 precepts as treasure. Don't look at them as a restriction. And that's a completely misunderstanding of the 5 precepts. Like people think, I can do all this kind of thing. I can tell lie. I can fishing. I can hunt. Now I keep the 5 precepts. I cannot do all that. So look like they right when they say a lot of my freedom have cut short if I keep the 5 precepts. But they forgot that this 5 precepts give him or her the freedom to navigate in the human realm freely with respect and stable and happiness. Everything. Yeah. So today I'd like to share with you about this topic, and I find it's very interesting. Whichever area, whichever collection of people, I often use this as a way to observe how they maintain the peacefulness, how the peacefulness is maintained. And I see that the harmony, the precept, the Buddhist precept is very much about this harmony thing, right? Even the bhikkhu, they live together, so the Buddha makes sure they live in harmony. So otherwise, they have more rules, right? But as a lay member in the family, you will see that the benefit of that, right? Don't look at the precept in a way that a restriction that you cannot do, but look at how benefit it is. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, a lot of sense. So encourage our family member to keep the 5 precepts. In the World Fellowship of Buddhists, they have even one whole department just to promote the 5 precepts called Pancasila Standing Committee. The whole committee just to promote the Pancasila. So I think they see deeply into the benefit of it and how important it contributes to the society. So then, finally, in the Sutra, talking about the benefit of the 5 precepts, it said, it's a beautiful gift you give to the world if you keep the 5 precepts. Yeah. It's a beautiful gift, because I'm sure that your neighbor loves that. Every family member also loves that. The employer or employee, it doesn't matter which role that person is. Yeah, you bring the true peace and harmony to that area where you live or where you work or where you stay. Okay, now it's 10:30. Is it time for me to stop or time for questionings or whatever? Please ask me some question, or just if you observe, if what I was saying makes sense in some area that you directly experience, please share them, because learning Dhamma not just about talking or teaching, but it's all about sharing. It's a situation where you think you have encountered, and it makes sense in the world you live in. Yeah.
Thank you, Venerable Sadhu. We usually alternate questions from the room and online. So maybe we begin in the room. Would anyone have a question to ask? There is one.
Venerable Sir, thank you for the talk. That was very enlightening. I might have missed the point. You mentioned that Buddha practiced on earth and enlightened, but not heaven. And why?
Okay. Yes. I thank you for. As I mentioned before, on earth there is one cake for 10 people. It's not a situation where one person have 10 cake. So it's the perfect place where you harmonize with everyone and figure out how to share the cake. And for you to perfect a lot of humans' human virtues or spiritual virtues. Human realm is set up in a very good condition. It's not violent like the animal world, but it's not to abundantly like the heavenly world. It's the world just right to give you the good opportunity to perfect, that spiritual virtues. Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
Thank you, Venerable. I'm seeing some appreciation from people online, including some thank you for practical talk. But so far, no one has posted a question. So let me turn to the people here and see if there's any other questions or comments. There is one.
Thank you very much. There's an order to the 5 precepts that's given, right? We always take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is there a specific reason it's done in that manner, or is it based on importance, or how does it?
The Buddha think that spiritual growth is very much of individual will. You cannot forcing people to do this and do that if mentally they're not ready for it. So even though Buddha said it's a 5 precepts, but it's not forcing people must take all 5 precepts. They can take 1, 2, 3, or 4. But as a Buddhist, the Buddha always make it clear, you need to understand it. You need to know it, and then you decide that either the benefit is good enough or prevention from the suffering good enough for you to keep it. Then you keep them. It's always the strategy of our Lord Buddha that so he gives that the follower that flexibility, not forcing them. But if he forced, then Buddha forced people. You need to understand them and observe them and see either, if not keeping it is good, all right? But I find that when you're observing it and you understand more, you cannot just ignore the 5 precepts. Yeah. But still in the Vinaya allow, yes, you can keep 1, 2, 3, or 4. Yeah. But with understanding, I cannot see that we can omit any of them. Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Venerable. We do have a question from online. It is from Nuraini, who says, I've been seriously learning about Buddhism the last few years and practice the 5 precepts, but I get negative response from my surroundings. So what should I do? So this is a question of someone who they are trying to practice, but they're getting a negative response from their surroundings.
Well, I think she practicing in the right condition. I've talked to the principal in Delta Dhamma school. She said that most of the teachers there are not Buddhists, but it's required that whenever they step their foot into the school ground, they have to observe the 5 precepts. So the keeping the 5 precepts as an employment condition, not about faith, but about professional. If you work in this school, you have to keep the precept and promote the 5 precepts to the student. Well, I think it's have merit in itself that people observe the precept because of the employment condition. Well, as long as when they're there, they're protected. But sometimes not every situation are easy. That's why that's why the human rooms are perfect to practice the 5 precepts, because you might be in the place where the conditions so right, even though you cannot break the 5 precepts, like some of the profession like doctor or whatever in their activity. They governed by a lot of rules and they cannot break the precept, but they're not keeping the precept. They never consciously vow to keep the precept. But here you vow to keep the precept, but the context is not so supportive. So it makes you have a stronger will and see more reason why the precept is benefits. All right, it's forcing you to consolidate your faith in the 5 precepts. So sometimes the unsupportive condition is not always bad. Sometimes it's good even. Sometimes it's good. Well, just tell her, be consistent. That's my advice. And of course, and one of the way to see it, what if I don't keep the 5 precepts in this situation? Is that make things better or is that make things worse? Short term or long term? I think always long term you can see the reason why the 5 precepts is important. But in the short term, people might argue this, or it's not convenience. But every virtue needs patience. Yeah.
Thank you, Venerable. That was a really good answer. Any other questions from in the room? So perhaps we turn to announcement.
Okay, microphone issues. All right, so first of all, Venerable, thanks very much for your talk and much to reflect upon, as always, so thank you very kindly. So Sunday announcements. The first one is the NBN 10th anniversary celebrations. So the BSV committee is inviting everyone to join the 10th anniversary celebrations at the Newbury Buddhist Monastery on Saturday the 7th of September between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Everyone's welcome, but we're asking people who want to attend to register for catering purposes, and also encouraging people to tending to bring a dish to share with the monastics and the community to celebrate, and keeping in mind that it's within the time of the rains retreat, so it's not going to be a huge celebratory event like this at Kokatina, but we are going to celebrate. And look, people travelling up, encourage people to carpool as well. Adrian, I think you had something you wanted to say as well, please.
Sorry. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Michael, for giving me this opportunity. Just like to give you a quick update regarding the Newbury Buddhist Monastery. As you know that we have been the owner builder of the project since early this year in February, and we have a group of volunteers that managing the project, including recruiting tradesmen, workmen to do the work. So there's a lot of work that we need to do behind the scenes while coordinating the work. So far, so good. The five cottages are almost completed. We are having a little bit of issue with the balustrade to provide safety barricade, barrier between some of the high verandas of the cottage and then the ground. So until that's done, we will not be able to get the occupancy permit for the cottages, which we hope to get it finished by this month. So the cottages are in well progress, and we hope to get it done soon when the balustrade is installed, plus a few other things, minor defects and things like that. So that's very good. The next big thing is the building, the Dhamma hall, which are in progress, and there's quite a fair bit of work to do, and there are a lot of building activities there. Workmen are working inside the building. Thank goodness the roofs has been installed finally after a few months there. Because there are various workmen there and we are managing them, some of the workmen just leave rubbish inside the building. So that makes it a little bit difficult for another workman who comes in to do the work there. So, and we the volunteers and some of the monks and nuns have been going there to do some cleaning of the inside the hall to take the rubbish out and a few other things there. As a result, we are just calling out for some volunteers who are able to help us to do some of the light clearing of the rubbish inside the buildings there, maybe once a week if we can. Someone will be going there tomorrow, and then after that on a regular basis if we can provide some sort of assistance there to help us, that would be great. And if you can, please contact me or email the president at bsv.net.au, then we can do some coordinations there as well. Every now and then we got volunteers who stay there a few days a week to do some of the work there as well. So yeah, please consider it, and we hope that sometime these next few months we get this whole project finished for the benefits of the whole community. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Adrian. Yeah, it's always a lot of work, and anyone who can help is greatly appreciated. So the teaching program for the week ahead, tomorrow night, the meditation session, 7:30 p.m. with Ajahn Sadaro. On Tuesday night, with Sandeep Kanti, lay teacher. The Meditation a Healthy Habit, Mondays through to Thursday nights at 7 p.m. and then the 20-minute monastic guided led meditation on Discord. Okay, New Day, New Mind, daily meditation group. You can join any time between 4 to 6:30 a.m. Melbourne time. It's on Discord, and Ajahn Nando joins the room between 6 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays and Friday. Next week's teaching program, the Sunday morning talk will be given by Ajahn Nisarano, and Ajahn Nisarano will also be taking the Monday night meditation session. So that's it for the announcements. Now, I was talking with Venerable Phuoc Tan earlier this morning. He tells me that normally in the Vietnamese tradition, they take the precepts and the refuges at the end of the teaching session. I also told him that I really like the Vietnamese chanting. So I've asked him if we could, sort of by way of conclusion, do things the Vietnamese way. I guess it's the simplest way of doing it. So we'll pay our respects, but we'll allow Venerable Phuoc Tan to lead us through them.
Yeah, so each time I read out one refuge, we bow to the direction of the Buddha once, and at the third one, that will be the end of the whole session. Okay, all right, please, if you can kneel. The first refuge say that I take the refuge in the Buddha. I wish all the sentient beings generate the highest mind, and that they also achieve the ultimate enlightenment. Từ quy Phật đương nguyện chúng sanh thế dạy đại đạo ấy Pháp vô thượng tâm. Okay, all bow down. I take refuge in the Dhamma. I wish all saints and beings, their wisdom is also so vast like the ocean. Từ quy Pháp đương nguyện chúng sanh thâm nhập kinh tạng trí huệ như hải. I take the refuge in the Sangha. I wish all saints and beings they able to overcome all the difficulty and in harmony. Từ quy tăng ấy đương nguyện chúng sanh thông ly đại chúng nhất thiết vô ngại. Yes, that's the end. Thank you.
So please, if you're able to stay, please come and join us for Dana. We'll do Pindapat Dana over at the behind the Vihara. And yes, Venerable Phuoc Tan will stay around and be able to talk after lunch if anyone is interested to discuss with him. Thank you.